what's going on? This is the Totally Committed Podcast, Episode 2. I got my brother EJ with me.
What's going on, man?
Now, EJ, pronounce your full name so everybody can understand what that is. I think that's important.
Got you. So, my full name is Ejiya Victor Ejiya. I didn't even want to drop the middle name. That's too federal. That's too government.
Yeah.
But okay. Ejiya Ejiya, it's based out of Nigeria, from the Edo tribe, and the meaning of the name means a happy place or a place where there's happiness. So wherever I'm surrounded with, there's happiness going all around.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would like to agree with that because I feel that from you ever since we met. So
100%.
It's
Appreciate
an honor to have you on podcast episode 2.
Let's go.
Excited to hear more about, what's gotten you here, man, because, in just our personal talks, it's been really good to get to know you. So cheers, man. So
Cheers.
This is brought to you by Fit Aid, one of our sponsors here at TCRC. So we'll, we got the 200 milligrams clean caffeine. Get us started here.
There we go.
This late morning, early afternoon.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother. Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Is the blackberry pineapple good?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. See,
I like it cold like that.
Yeah, no. See, I knew that was
How's
gonna
the
be a dark
citrus?
horse. I ain't gonna lie, it's busting.
It's
good. It goes smooth.
All right,
It goes
cool.
mad smooth. I like
Good.
it.
Yep. That clean caffeine. I like that.
I know. I don't like that. Like that crash out you get at the end of the day from like some energy drinks. I gotta have something just like refreshing, clean. Well, at least I can. If I don't crash, I at least coast.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And when you were playing, did you like caffeine and things like that?
I didn't really do caffeine much, so like I was super into those like turmeric energy shots and like those wheatgrass shots, but it would almost work the same. It was just a healthier option, but like I'd only be up for a couple more hours, maybe an extra hour, but then like my body fatigue would just take over and be like, you know what? We're going to cancel out all the natural benefits of this, all the energy boosters, and you're just going to go to sleep. You're going to take a nap instead. Night. So, I really only stuck to that. No coffee, none of that.
For sure. Nice, yeah, man. The natural way, and I think that kind of represents the type of approach you've taken in understanding you a little bit more. So let's go a little bit deeper about where you started and how you started playing the game of football. Obviously, you're a grown man. Football doesn't define who you are, but it's something you did very well. So I like to, search back and see when was it that, you started playing football? What made you fall in love with it?
Sure. So originally, my mom never wanted me to play football because she came from Africa. So these African parents see soccer as the more notable and safer sport. When in all reality, you can get hurt in any sport. Right. She was like, "Oh, I want you to play soccer, my boy." Da, 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 da. I was just like, "Okay, cool." But then the problem with soccer was I hated running. And I was kind of a chubby kid, so you can only imagine. Like I hated to run. So the first soccer game, I remember like we started running maybe for like 5 minutes. I remember I walked over to my parents and I was just like, I don't want to play anymore. Like I'm done. Like I can't do this. Like I sat down. Like I was a troublesome kid. I used to just sit down and like pout and so I could have my way. So they took me out of soccer. They were like, okay, well, we need to put you in some sport. So this is the time period where I had moved neighborhoods. I used to live in Coon Rapids, and then I moved to the Blaine area. And my neighbors, one of my neighbors, his name was Nate Roosh. He's the pastor at Emmanuel Christian Center. Okay. And I remember I saw his kids playing football in the front yard. So I asked my dad, I'm like, man, what is that? Like, what are they doing? He's like, oh, yeah, that's football. I love watching football. My dad was a huge Vikings fan, especially the 04 Vikings.
Yep,
Dante, Randy Moss, all those guys. So he was just like, yeah, I love football. Like, I want you to try it. Like, you want me to bring you over there? I was like, yeah, like, I want to play. So we were playing in the front yard, playing catch or whatever. And one thing about it was I hated running for long distances, but I was fast still.
Yeah.
I catch the ball in the front yard, Tone the Rock just running on the other side of the driveway. And, Nate was just like, maybe we should sign him up for football. And my dad was like, that's what I said, but the mom isn't going for it. So we brought my mom in like it was an intervention meeting. It was like 6 of us.
Sat her down in a circle in the living room.
Like, you need to realize that you are the problem here, and you need to let this kid play football. So, got into football that way, and I realized that, you know, I was able to master the skill set of speed and just other different attributes I learned across the way, and that's literally how I got started. Nothing too complicated.
For sure. And what age was that at that you started?
That was about 9 years old. Yep. I was about 9 years old when that came about.
Yep. So about as early as you can start.
Yeah. Right? So it was about 3rd grade.
Yep.
Third grade is when I officially started.
Yep. And I think that's the age from, you know, that's when I started too, and a lot of other professionals that I have encountered, they start at an early age, and you kind of start out early in your life practicing and harnessing the tools that it takes to play at that high level, you know.
Yeah.
You know, early on, like, tackling is for sure like a mental thing. Like, you got to understand, even as like a young kid, I mean, you got to understand, like, you got to throw your body in there, you know. You got to like and it's weird at that age, like, you're kind of fearless at that age. Like, you'll kind of do anything. Like, you'll jump off like a 6-foot cliff standing at like this tall, you know. Like, and to brace yourself to getting hit by another kid, like, you got to have some mental fortitude. Yeah, you got to be a different type of. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got to be a little different. For sure. Yeah. So with that, then transitioning, you know, in your life, now you're playing football. You understand you're pretty good at it. What position did you start playing originally? So my first position was running back. I loved running back. I loved just running the ball. And then on defense, they couldn't really find a position for me because I didn't really want to play defense because I wanted to score touchdowns. Like, I would watch the guys on TV, like, they get all the attention for scoring a touchdown. Like, that's what I want. Yeah, I want the glory. I want the fame. So running back on offense, and then on defense, they ended up putting me at linebacker / D end. Yeah. And those are the two positions I started off with. Played a little receiver here and there, but running back was always my favorite. Yeah, I can just imagine you were that big running back. I was a big kid, man. I was a big kid, so it made sense. Yeah. You know? That's great. So then, you know, transitioning into middle school age, did you have like a kind of a choice where you want to go to high school, or was that like a thing that your parents were super set on, like the high school you were going to, or was it just the area you were living? So it was really based off the area that I was in. So originally 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I played in the BSLP-AA association. That consisted of Blaine and Spring Lake Park conjoined. I think it's different now because there's more kids in Spring Lake Park, so I think they kind of separated and did their own league. Yeah. But at first, I was with the Blaine football team. Like, I played with all the guys from Blaine, but I attended Spring Lake Park School District, which was it was really weird. It was a weird dynamic. So, like, I'd go to school with these Spring Lake Park kids, but 6 o'clock in the evening comes and I'm practicing with my Blaine teammates. Yeah. So I'd go to school and it'd almost be like, dude, you're a traitor. Like, how do you go to school and go play for the other team? Bro, we're in math class together. What's going on? That's funny. So I think it was about 6th grade was when I made that transition to the Spring Lake Park area because my parents were just like, it would make sense if you play for Spring Lake Park if you're going to school in the Spring Lake Park School District, because I wasn't in the, you know how bus lane or bus and transit has like certain areas and neighborhoods they pick kids up. Yeah. My neighborhood wasn't a Blaine neighborhood, but I lived like 8 minutes away from the high school. Yeah. But I was in the Spring Lake Park district. So the only bus, and my parents are African, they're not dropping me off at school. Yeah. You take the bus or you're walking, you know. Right. So they ended up just like, you know what, you're going to Spring Lake Park. Nice. And that's it. So Spring Lake Park it is. Spring Lake Park it is. Man. And then, you know, being from where I'm from too, I'm from that area, Lino Lakes. I grew up in Lino Lakes. Mm-hmm. Went to Centennial High School. So one of very few black kids at the time. I feel like I'm a little older than you. Mm-hmm. By the way, how old are you? Just 28. 28.
20
okay.
years old, yeah.
Yeah, and, so I'm a little bit older than you. A few years, but...
You keep yourself young, man.
Yeah, man, I try.
Keep yourself young. Look at the skin.
You know, man, I try to, stay shining. You know what I'm saying? Stay moisturized.
There we go, hydrated.
Hydrated, exactly.
There we go.
But yeah, man, so within that, how was that going to Spring Lake Park, from an African household into that environment, which I'm sure there wasn't many African or African American kids there?
Yeah, no. So there was a small collective of us. There wasn't like a large amount, like, with all due respect, like BP, Park Center, like those schools where the African community is in abundance. And the majority of those schools are like 60-70% African American, African whatever, and then the rest is everyone else. So it was a little bit of a flip-flop. There was a good amount of Nigerian kids, which I come from, so I was able to connect with them at an early age. But there's only a handful of us at first, but then as I got older into high school, there was a bigger population. I started seeing more and more around, but we still were kind of the beneath minority,
The outliers.
The outliers. That's a better word to put it. That's a better word to put it.
So your experience in high school, how did that go? Did you enjoy your experience in high school, and how did the training that you got and things like that? Explain that.
Yeah, so Spring Lake Park, one thing I'm always grateful for about Spring Lake Park is the discipline and the culture that was developed there by my former head coach, Jeff Schlief. He instilled what a culture is supposed to look like this is how it is, and if you're not going to follow these rules for the success of the team, then we don't need you. We'll find somebody else that will do that job. They might not be as athletic as you, they might not be as big and strong as you might be, but at the end of the day, we can depend on that guy to go out on the field and be prepared for a game to be played. And I think in life, you kind of learn those are the guys that you need in your circle.
For sure.
At a young age. The overall experience for myself was, I would like to say, good, because I was one of the premier athletes there from a young age. Starting in 9th grade, I played up at the 10th grade, and I started on JV, and then getting to start varsity my sophomore year. So for the most part, I had high school pretty good. I would like to say I was obviously a very confident kid. Could be a little bit more modest at times, but I was enjoying what I had. I got treated with respect, but with all that fame comes the hidden haters and people kind of whispering on your downfall. But what's new?
What's new, man?
I was gonna say you're either gonna do it or you're not, and whether you do it or not, they're still gonna find a way to hate. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful for my experience there.
For sure. So you said there you learned the dynamics of a team, which I think is super important in life, in high-level business, understanding high-level business and looking forward in life. What did you say the coach's name was?
Jeff Schlief.
Jeff Schlief. Shout out, Jeff.
Shout out my boy, man.
Yeah, so I feel like that's important at that age for us young men to have someone that creates that type of structure. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's, definitely an important thing to have.
Right.
To develop that mindset needed to carry on into that next phase and be able to
100%.
Translate what you learned into where you go next. So so that developmental piece is important.
100%. Yeah.
So then, were you guys just balling at SLP, or how was it?
Yeah, man. We were always a top team in our conference. I think in high school we won the conference 2 out of 4 times. And then when we got to sections, there was always one team that we could not beat. And it was like that for 6 years. Totino Grace.
Oh, that's the one.
That was always the school that we always got to the section finals.
Yeah.
Every time. And I'm not going to lie, especially my first 3 years in high school, we won the conference champ. No, yeah, it was 3 years. Sorry, 3 out of the 4 years. We won it 3 out of the 4 years. Conference was easy because it's just I don't know why. No one was really a threat to us. But then when we got...
Probably had a high seed.
Yeah, we always had a high seed. Yeah. So we'd always play the lower level teams and we always come out on top.
Right.
But we used to have these weeks called TG week, where like you are solely locked in. Like schoolwork, no way.
Yeah, no.
Family time, no. You're locked into this week. TG week, because watching extra film, doing the most, running extra gassers, because like that's the mind frame we had to put ourselves in, because they always gave us a problem. And I can't say I ever beat them, but
they got
it. They always got it on us. So
it's always those teams.
It's always those teams, man. But I mean, they gave us a problem, but you know, we ended up leaving with our heads high and
always
learn some life lessons through it all.
Yeah, never take a loss. Always lessons. So then, you guys are balling at SLP. You start getting, letters. You're thinking college. How set were was your family on you going to college? Was that like a thing? They were like, you got to go to college. You got to do this.
Yeah. So regardless of how football worked out, my mom was a huge advocate for like, you're going to college, you're getting your degree. In the typical African family, like you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be an accountant, and though I was never really interested in those type of things. Like it sounds good, like I'm sure the pay is nice, but it's just like overall, it's not something I was really wanting to look forward to.
For sure.
But I knew that I had a talent in football and I can make something of it, right? So I didn't have to go the traditional doctor, lawyer route. At some point I had dreams of going to the NFL. Like that was my biggest dream that I wanted to complete. I wanted to go play in the NFL, play games, and play at that high level. Mm-hmm. So when I was receiving these offers and these letters in the mail, that I looked at those as just like, okay, like this dream can actually become a reality. Like, it's not like this isn't just some fairy tale. Like I just woke up one day, I'm like, I can actually make these dreams happen. So as I continued to get more interest and more looks, like it just gave me more motivation to work 10 times harder, put more effort in film, getting to really understand defenses, talking to my coach. I'm like, okay, what can I do to be like the guys before me, my predecessors? Like, how did they make it to the next level? Whatever level they went, D1, D2, D3, pro. Like, what did those guys do? What are the extra steps that they took? Like, how can I get to that level with my current athletic ability? And I've got advice all across the board. And to be able to say that I made it happen, I think that's just a testament of the culture that I came from, from Spring Lake Park. So yeah, man, it was a journey.
Yeah, man. Sure. Shout out Spring Lake Park. I always like to shout out, Minnesota, because I feel like sometimes the vibe is as though Minnesota isn't producing high level athletes and this and that. I always hear this and I'm like, well, I mean, that's not true. So that's another reason why I want to highlight Minnesota athletes and how being in this system, it can work out, and how now I love that we're working together to even make it better 100%. Than it was, to offer kids and people experiences to be able to change the trajectory of where they're going, and just be able to help, like you said, a testament to how it was and the culture that you had growing up.
100%.
So in that next, so we're here, you're getting letters. What were the top few schools that you were like looking at, like when you were getting letters?
So I'll just go ahead and say this off the bat. Yeah. One of the first letters I ever received, and like I was extra geeked when I saw this, it was from Alabama.
Oh,
I swear to God. But then I did more research on it, and they flooded the United States with the same letters that they sent to like kind of premier athletes, like mid-tier to premier athletes in like every state.
Yeah.
So I remember I went to this NDSU camp one time, and I was talking to my boy Connor Wilkie. He played quarterback at Andover, and we were just talking about college and stuff, where we wanted to go. I was like, bro, don't tell no one. But I got a letter from Bama. He's like, bro, did it look like this? And he showed me on his phone. I was like, damn, you thought it too?
Like, and then you're like, I
was like, oh gosh, I'm not.
Everybody got it.
Right? I'm like, damn, everybody got it. Like, I'm not that special. But Alabama was one of the first letters I got, and it was after my junior season. But it was just like one of those, because that year they won the national championship.
Yeah.
So that had to have been like 2012. Yeah, like 2012, 2011, something like that.
Yeah.
So they sent like this national championship letter, like, oh, we won the national championship. Like, here's a letter saying like, we're interested in you, this and that, the third. So I literally was like, I'm going to Bama. Nobody can tell me nothing. But then I realized I'm like, maybe I'm not going to Bama, but it's okay, cool. That's my claim to fame though.
Right. Hey, they sent a letter.
They sent a letter.
Sent a letter at everybody.
They sent a letter, so I was like, I'm all right.
Yeah. So then, like, you were getting some other places. What were other schools? That
Yes.
you were looking at?
So I got Minnesota, North Dakota State, UND, Northern Illinois, Iowa State. So I got a lot of different Big Ten letters, and it looked very similar to the Bama ones, but they sent you a letter for a reason. So that letter could be kind of like a promotion deal, like to come to one of their camps. Or I got a Nike training camp invite, but I couldn't make it because I didn't have a ride.
Yeah.
Like there was one in Chicago, there was one in Florida, and then I think there was one in California or Texas too. But I wanted to go to the one in Chicago, but I asked my parents, but like my mom was like, I'm literally working, like I can't take you. And none of my other friends got an invite either, so I was just like, well, guess I'll have to just miss this one.
Yeah.
So that was my chance to get a ranking, but I didn't get an official ranking. I would have probably been a 3-star, but I don't even think I had any stars because I didn't go to one of those camps. Mm-hmm. So I think by default they just gave me 2. I don't know. I didn't know how that really worked. I didn't have any recruiting help or any things along those lines. But those are some of the letters I had got in high school.
Nice. That's what's up. And then what did you end up choosing out of high school then?
So originally I had committed to North Dakota State University, go Bison. They recruited me to come and play running back with a potential switch to linebacker because they loved how I ran the ball, but they thought I would probably be a better defensive player. So when I went on my visit, they had me, at the time the running back was Sam Ojiri. So they had me kind of just shadowing him, and I think he had 4 1,000 rushing yard seasons.
Yeah, I feel like I remember.
Yeah, he was a monster, but I didn't stick in the NFL, which, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. So they had me, like, shadowing him and other guys as well. But then, like, towards the end of the trip, they brought me in the defensive room. Like, right before I left, they were showing me their defensive tape. They're like, we really think we can see you at linebacker. I'm like, okay, like, I'm still running this rock, so if I play both ways, like, that's cool. But after NDSU, what was it, about like 2-3 weeks before I was going to sign my letter of intent, I tore my ACL in the basketball game. Yeah, no, lately I try to be on my European nonsense, try to hit a little Euro step in. Did not happen. The moment I hit my second step, my knee buckled. And I ended up finding out 2 days later that I tore my ACL. So, I mean, that was completely devastating because I just had a great senior year of football. I didn't really have to play basketball, but, I loved the basketball coach. I loved the basketball culture as well. So, like, why not play basketball for your last year?
Right.
And so, throughout the process, they told me that they were going to redshirt me. I'm just going to recover there, get physical therapy, whoop-de-whoop, whatever. But my admissions wasn't really going through, and that was due to the fact that I had a 2.4 GPA. The D1 requirement was a 2.5.
Ooh.
So,
testament to all those kids out there.
Please don't be like me and get a 2.4. Just get the requirement. I'm not going to sit at least, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, you need to get straight A's. You need to get A's, no B's. Like, I'm not even going to be that type of parent. I'm going to just be like, listen, don't make me look bad.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't make me look bad, because what we basically had to tell everybody was, yeah, they took my scholarship because of my knee. That wasn't necessarily the case, because you can still get accepted into the school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they pulled some strings with some guys. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say there wasn't a guy that I knew that had a 2.3 and he still got in. Right. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but at the end of the day, the safest spot is just Just get required. Like, get what you need.
Yes,
Get
there's
what you
no
need, get it done.
excuse, right?
Don't leave any doubt in their mind. I left doubt, which prompted them, like, why would we try hard for a kid that didn't even get the D1 requirement, a 2.4, 2.5, it's a 2.5, and he tore his ACL.
Yeah, that's
why would we try and push
1, 2?
That's already 1, 2. Well, but this guy has the requirement and he's healthy, right? Like, don't ever think you got your spot on lock. Like, there's 1 to 2 guys waiting for you to mess up in that process, always.
And that's just the game of football, especially at that level, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. You know how much they recruit, and you know, you play college ball. Like, these guys recruit. They're on the road half of the year,
right.
So they're seeing 50 different ties. They're seeing 50 different EJs. So at the end of the day, like, they just so happen to choose you. Well, if you mess up, guess what? The guy that they're about to throw an offer to is already ready to go. He just hasn't chosen the school yet. Because what if he really wants to go to NDSU?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, like...
It's just a revolving door.
It's a revolving door. Like, it's sad to say, but once you get to that college level, you're easily replaceable.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's what people got to realize. I feel like, you know, as an athlete going into it, there is that element, especially at that high level. So then, where did you end up going then? You're transitioning to, you know, healing from an injury, looking to play in college. Where did you end up landing?
So, like, at first, Concordia St. Paul offered me a walk-on, and then the next year to get a full scholarship to play running back. But my dream wasn't necessarily to go to D2. Like, I wanted to go Division I and straight to the league. So I ended up going to North Dakota State College of Science. It's a North Dakota JUCO in Wappington, North Dakota. We used to call it the WAP.
Wow.
Yeah, the WAP.
Let's go.
Yep. So I ended up signing my letter of intent there. And it was real secretive, too. Like, I didn't really announce anything until, like, after I left. Like, hey, guys, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to NDSU anymore. I'm going to JUCO. And my coach wanted me to just keep the persona of NDSU because I already had my signing day.
Yeah.
So I already had people come, watch me sign, take pictures, everything. Yeah. So people would have been pump faked, like, what happened? What happened now?
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah.
So ended up going there, played there. I redshirted my first year because my knee wasn't 100%. So after my physical therapy here in Minnesota, I got up with the athletic trainer. He had me do a lot of conditioning, especially. My knee was like 80% when I got there. Right, it wasn't fully healed, but his philosophy was, okay, as we're working on your knee, like, you need to get in shape.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just expect to go out in the field and, like, you might re-hurt yourself if you're not in, like, good football shape. So he had me doing conditioning drills just out the ass. Like, it was just...
Getting after it.
We were getting after it. And so midway through the season, I ended up recovering and, like, ended up practicing. First play, I ran through the gap and just smoked the running back, even though I wasn't supposed to. But it was just like, damn, I haven't played football in like a year and a half now.
Yeah, man, the dog was off the leash.
I was ready to go. I ain't gonna lie. I was ready to hit something.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Good, man. So, so now you're at JUCO. You're at the WAP. Balled there, obviously. Mm-hmm. So what's next?
After that, it was a decision to make to go to school. I had a few schools. I had NDSU reached back out because they were like, "Yeah, we like your tape. Like, you're looking good." I ended up meeting with the Florida Gators. I met with Tennessee. I met with Arkansas, and I met with North Texas UNI. I really wanted to go to Tennessee, but they didn't. They wanted me to stay an extra semester. I'm like, I'm not putting myself through this North Dakota nonsense again.
Yeah, right.
It's either you offer me now or I can't do it. Sorry. So Coach Eckler at the time he was at the University of North Texas. They came up to North Dakota to watch me work out, talk to me. They went to my parents' house in Minnesota. Right, so the head coach went to my parents' house in Minnesota. I'm like, this guy flew all the way the frozen tundra of Minnesota to recruit me.
Dang.
Like, he's a country guy from Oklahoma,
right,
in a school in Texas. They don't know anything about Minnesota. They flew up here while I was in junior college, and they're like, we want your son, plain and simple.
That's pretty impressive.
So I couldn't overlook that.
Right.
I'm like, you flew up to meet my mom. It's like,
that's real.
Yeah, I'm coming there. I don't care if y'all record was 1-11 the year before. Like, it's a new coaching staff. It's a new culture. It's something let's make something. I already come from 2 cultures that we're winners.
Yeah.
JUCO, we played in 2 championships. Like,
Yeah.
So like, let's go. So I ended up committing to the University of North Texas.
Let's go, North Texas.
Yep,
Mean Green, right?
Go Mean Green.
Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Shout out to Mean
GMG.
Green.
GMG.
Yeah, and your jersey was dope. I remember seeing your jersey and your number. What number did you wear there?
22.
22. Oh, that's
22.
cool.
Deuce.
That's what's up. So obviously, you getting there, you having the JUCO experience, which I wouldn't say is, some people coming out of high school are like, they don't really want that JUCO experience, but I think it can be beneficial, give you time, to develop and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it worked for you, and I think it's a good route if you're that type of person that can benefit from that.
Right.
So we're at the Mean Green, North Texas now, the big stage, D1. How was your experience there with the Mean Green?
Well, I'll tell you what, at first time, man, it was a culture shock. It was a complete culture shock.
North Texas, I mean, that's football land.
That's like the entire state of Texas lives, breathes, eats football at all times of the year. Like, yeah, you have your good basketball players that come out of Texas. Track is also huge, but there's nothing that is even close to football in Texas.
Yeah.
My experience there when I first got there was a little odd, only because like nobody there has ever met anybody from Minnesota. They had they had no idea.
What?
So I remember I had a teammate there that lived in Minnesota. Like, he played at De La Salle a while ago, and I didn't even really know him like that. I just know him because I reached out to him on something like, yo, you from Minnesota too? He was like, yeah, Like, he originally was born in Georgia, but then moved up to Minnesota. So he's really not from Minnesota, but he was up there for a while.
Knew about it, yeah.
Right. So I reached out to him. I'm like, Jared comes. I was like, yeah, brother, like, I'm going to be down there. He's like, yeah, I'll show you the ropes when you get down there. Cool. I remember the team meeting, bro. I'll never forget this. I got up, I'm like, what's going on, y'all? My name is EJ Ejiya. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I remember some dude in the back was like, He was like, And I remember I didn't even say nothing at first. I tried to act like hold back and laugh because I'm like, it's kind of like, I don't want it to be like funny, but I want it to be kind of serious. Like, and I heard this like just a little snicker. I'm just like, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went here, play linebacker. It's gonna be a great time. I'm like, with y'all boys, let's work. That entire first year, like, for some reason, I was taken serious, but I also wasn't, because I needed to earn my stripes.
Yeah.
I needed to, only because like the dudes from Texas, like, you're based off of where you went to high school, which is kind of similar up here and anywhere. If you went to a good high school in Texas, you don't gotta say much. Like, you're good for it.
Right.
Me, it's like they looked at me like I was from Narnia, bro. Like,
yeah, they're like, hold up.
Like, who is you? I remember our starting safety had asked me, he's like, y'all don't even play football up there. Like, what do y'all got up there? I'm like, I'm at the same college as you, bro. Like, what are you talking about? We're at the same school. If you was that good, why aren't you at UT right now?
Right.
Why aren't you at A&M? Like, what's going on?
Right.
How is a Minnesota kid on the same team as you?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So my experience of the first year was, I just had to learn the ropes. I had to learn their culture. I had to learn how everything went.
Yeah.
I had to earn my stripes by knocking somebody's head off.
Have to.
Like, I knocked off somebody's helmet, got in a few team fights. I finally earned my stripes.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
there we go. The Minnesota kid after it. Okay. Like, I literally had to get in a fight with our starting running back. He plays on the Dolphins now, Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
I got in a fight with like 2 linemen, which is pretty normal. And then I got in a fight I got jumped by the running back group in practice because I threw somebody to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody came up behind me and boom, just knocked me over, started jumping me. My linebackers.
No.
But when I saw my linebackers come in and defend me,
yeah,
that's when I knew I was good for it.
Yeah. You were like, okay, I earned the respect.
I earned some respect because they could have easily just let me get jumped. Like, it would have been over with.
Right.
But they came to my defense, and I officially earned my stripes, because the next year, that team meeting, I was treated with the utmost respect.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And that process, I feel like, is important. Coming from Minnesota, being the man, going through the process, and then landing at some place where you got to earn those stripes again at that next level. That's something that, if you were a weak person, you would have just crumbled and been like, oh man, they don't like me, and made up a bunch of excuses.
Woe is me.
Yeah, man. So that's another level. It shows your level of professionality and you progressing into that and really taking that on, I think says a lot about you too. So congrats on that.
Oh, thank you.
And how did it end up? Like, I know you had success, obviously, with the Mean Green. So you were smacking guys. I saw a few clips.
I appreciate you, man.
So explain that. Then realizing, like, okay, my dream actually, from when I got that letter in high school, I took this path. It might not be exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I kept working through all the levels and grinding to get to this point. All right, we can get to that next level then, right? So explain to me kind of that process. It's your last year with the Green Mean, or the Mean Green, and you're like, okay, I can play at the next level now too. Why not? Let's go for it.
So, I remember going into my senior year. I kind of looked back to high school and like kind of what you just said. Going back to the young high school kid who had aspirations to go make it to the NFL. Well, like now the time is officially now. Like, they look at your junior season, especially too, like the pros, but like your senior season is where you really can make or break yourself. Like, this is when your draft stock really begins, because that's your last year. So a lot of teams are coming to practice. We had plenty NFL teams come to our practice every so often. Had agents start reaching out to me like mid-season, not even mid-season, the beginning of the season. I had probably like 4 or 5 agents reach out to me. But
so that gives you some confidence going.
It gives me some confidence because, like, if scouts see me or they come to our practice location, that means agents are seeing me too. And so the more agents you have, like, finding you, looking for you, like, the more, like, okay, like, we can really make this happen.
And that's turning you up in practice.
That's turning me up in practice. Every time I see a Colts scout or a Patriots scout at practice, like, all right, like, this kind of juices up everybody, because at the end of the day, like, everybody wants at least that opportunity to say that, like, yeah, I played in the NFL, or I got picked up by this team. Like, it's just something you can go off and tell your kids. You can just tell people, or future employers, like, these are stories you can just tell. So it jazzed up everybody. And I think I started just taking practice in a completely different approach. I stepped up into more of a leadership role. I really wanted to just succeed more as a team than just an individual, because I knew my individual play was good, but at the same time, if we don't win as a team, then, like, nobody's getting looks here. Like, these scouts could actually care less.
Right.
So how are you being an influence to your team? How are you being that guy that they can depend on? Right now, there's different things that they're looking at the next level, not just your skill of play, because there's plenty of guys in the league that you see, like, they can play ball easy, but, like, outside of football, like, what's their character like?
What value do you bring?
How are they treating the janitor in the building? How are they treating the lunch people? They go and, like, discreetly ask everybody around campus, like, what's this guy like? So it was a completely different professional approach I had to take, and I think that's something that really excelled me to go into the league and see all this happening, and then apply that to everything outside of football as well.
For sure. So then, we're talking about getting into the league, things like that. Who picked you up, and how did that process go with you getting picked up?
Oh man, obviously I trained for pro day. Had my pro day. I had a pretty good pro day. I mean, there's some things as far as testing wise I could have done, but my on-field drills were great. I went to the NFL PA Bowl in Los Angeles, So I was able to show my talents there as well. So I was already on a lot of scouts' radar. So I want to say the top 3 teams that are going to pick me up were Baltimore, Tennessee, and Cincinnati. They had reached out to me throughout the draft, and I really thought I was going to be a day 3 draft pick. Like, Cincinnati had called me like the 4th round saying, hey, we're going to pick you up. 5th round came. 6th round came. I'm like, damn, like, what the hell going on?
Waiting on that call.
And then Baltimore had called me late 6th round. I was like, hey, we're going to pick you up in an undrafted free agent. Let me know your thoughts. We can get you in like right away. Like, we want you. Tennessee also said the same thing, but I spoke to the linebackers coach personally, which made me think like, damn, maybe I should have picked Tennessee. But it is what it is at that point. Yeah. But got picked up by Baltimore. I was blessed enough to do that, and we made that happen. So
let's go. So the dream is reached.
The dream is real.
Let's go, man. The dream
was real. Yeah,
that's dope. Not many people can say that. It takes that understanding of yourself, that preparation. I feel like, and this is what I'm seeing now with your journey is it is all about the process, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about the process. So enjoy it. Those important starting fundamentals are important in developing where you start to where you get to. I think you mentioned already you can give testament to the importance of that foundation, 100%. Early. Obviously, you are a testament to a success. It's not just the system, but it's you who took advantage of those things that you learned and took it there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now I know you're trying to provide that for other kids or other people in trying to get themselves to a similar level that you have gotten to. So explain now a little bit about that process now, transitioning from professional athlete to now professional businessman and professional in general.
Yeah, no, so after the NFL, after Baltimore, you kind of get in this space of like, not even after Baltimore, after the USFL, I got in that space. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting any younger. The new guys that are coming in are younger, faster, more durable than I currently am. So it's time to get in that career setting now. I've given football all that I can give, and as much as I want to give. Right, I could force it, but I'd only be doing myself a disservice. Mm-hmm. So I ended up, talking to a few different people, and I said, you know what? I think you'd be a great realtor. I think you'd be a great real estate agent. I think that's something you should look into because there's plenty of money in it, investing in it. Build, rebuild, and flip and do all that other stuff. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm gonna take the classes, I'm gonna knock it all out. Now I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. So if you need a crib, if you need anything, let me know. I got you.
Hit up EJ. He's the man.
We can get you situated.
Yeah,
trust.
You already know.
And then also wanting to stay in the realm of football. Football's giving me all that I have today, and so my due diligence of giving it back is coaching and private training. Like you mentioned earlier, athletes from Minnesota, I think, are still even severely underlooked. But I also think the difference between like us and Texas is they have access to football training all year round. Yeah. They have camps all year round due to the weather, but we have domes. We have plenty of domes up here that we can make it happen. And I think the more we train these kids, the more we develop these kids at their set position and athletically with training, guys like yourself, guys like Tyrell, I think we're able to not even reach that gap, but close the gap in, talent. Because there's a lot of kids who train these kids 1 month and get them to understand the basics. Their game would be completely different.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
My training business is called TFL Training. Like I said, trying to partner up with Ty and make some stuff shake here and just shake the whole state here.
Yeah, man. It's so good, man, to be in contact with you, EJ, get to know you a little bit more. Excited to move into this next phase of what we know and what we can bring back here to our community and the Twin Cities, I see endless things that we can accomplish together, and I'm just excited to get that started more. So,
brother.
Check out EJ everywhere online. Let people know where they can find you at.
You can find me at tfltraining.com. My Instagram is dose_Hendricks. My training page is TFL_training. Feel free to reach out, DM, email, anything. I'll get back to you. It's pretty much same day, and we can get this going. So.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, EJ.
Appreciate you, man.
Shout out everyone out there. Totally Committed Podcast, episode 2. We're out. We'll see you guys next time. Shout out to my guest, EJ. And remember, it's all about the process, so enjoy it.
Enjoy.